me, Jami. You're listening to Monthly Mixtapes. This is my unfiltered audio journal, and I'm gonna talk about everything that happens between the music I create and my life as an artist. And you're listening to the third episode of this podcast. Rest is productive. For this one, I really wanted to get into the importance of rest, specifically from my perspective as an artist, because honestly, I'm kind of the worst at it. I think a lot of us are. We treat our bodies like they're just machines that carry our brains from one gig to the next until eventually the machine just breaks. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. So, last month, I was completely out of commission for about 2 weeks. For the first week, I was ill, but I don't know, I thought it was just a manageable ill, a common cold. So I kept going to work. I tried to hit all my schedules, just popping painkillers every day and pushing through the fog. But then it got real. My fever spiked, my whole body started aching. And when I finally dragged myself to the GP, yep, it was the flu. No wonder I felt like I was literally dying. So that was the turning point. I finally told myself, okay, stay home until you're actually fully restored. For those few couple days, I did absolutely nothing. I was just taking paracetamols, lying in bed, staring at Netflix, or eating biscuits. But once the fever finally broke and I had just a tiny bit of energy to actually do something, I started looking around my room. I've spent the last couple of years filling this room with all these things I love. I've got puzzles, vintage cameras, a typewriter, cassette tapes, journals, plus all the music gear like the pedals, the amps, the mics. It's supposed to be this creative sanctuary, right? But as I was sitting there, I realized I hadn't even touched the puzzles or my favorite games since the day I got them. They were just sitting there, literally collecting dust. And it started to make me feel a bit guilty. Like, I bought these things to keep myself alive outside the music. But I've been so obsessed with the grind that I hadn't even given myself permission to use them. I started playing Stardew Valley again. I actually sat down and did some jigsaw puzzles. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't thinking about my brand or my next release. I was just a person playing a game. And yeah, it made me think about why I find it so hard to just sit still. Like, I think as an artist, my identity is so wrapped up in doing. If that makes sense. Like, if I'm not practicing, I feel like I'm losing my edge. If I'm not writing, I feel like I'm falling behind. I realized that when I was forced to stay in bed, I felt like I was losing my value. Like, if I'm not producing something, who even am I? It's a scary thought, but just playing that game, Stardew Valley, reminded me that I'm allowed to exist without an output. I'm allowed to be just a human being who likes colors and sounds without needing to turn them into a Spotify link. In real life, obviously, though, there are things I have to do. Like, there's the schedule. If I'm working part-time in hospitality, I'm on their rota. You know how that is, being on your feet for hours, putting on the customer service face, draining your social battery before you even get home. And if I'm giving private lessons, I have to be on for my students. I have to give them my energy and my knowledge at that specific time we decided. Then, in the rest of the day, I'm working on my music, trying to get it ready for release, or I'm practicing. I've been enjoying this, and I still feel very lucky to live like this. I'm chasing my dream. But just because music is what I love, it doesn't mean it isn't work. I mean, of course, it's a million times better than working in an industry I have zero interest in. But I'm still not doing it just for fun anymore. I'm dedicated. I'm pushing myself to be good at it. And when your hobby becomes your career, you lose your escape. You forget what it's like to do something just because it feels good, with no end product in mind. The artist version of me is always working. The human version of me was starving for a break. Illness is always this loud, aggressive reminder to me about how much I actually need to rest. It's like my body saying, if you want pause, I'll make you pause. So when I was finally well enough to go back outside, the first thing I did wasn't getting back to work. I went to the charity shop and donated those jigsaw puzzles. I needed to make some empty space in my room, literally, and it felt heavy, to be honest. I realized I've been holding on to these things because they represented fun. But because I never actually had the time to do them, they just turned into another thing on my to-do list. Every time I looked at that stack of puzzles, it was just another reminder of something I was failing at because I was too busy working. I guess I'm just terrified of empty space. I've always felt like every corner of my room and every minute of my day has to be filled with something inspiring. I hold these ideas, I hold gear, I hold hobbies. But if my room is just full of dusty projects I'm never actually going to touch, where is the next thing supposed to go? You know? It's like my own internal hard drive is 99% full. I'm running slow, I'm glitching. I can't record anything new because there's literally no more storage for the file. To get those new, fresh ideas, I have to be okay with actually deleting some stuff. I have to declutter the dusty projects and the maybe one day hobbies just to create a literal void. I have to be okay with a corner of my room being empty for a while. That's the only way I can give my next song or my next vision enough air to actually breathe. I don't need to own every hobby to be a creative person. I just need the space to be one. But you know what? I'll probably forget this again. I'll probably overwork myself and start filling up my shelves until I'm sick again in 3 months or something. That's just my cycle, to be honest. But this time, I journaled it here on the podcast. And so maybe this realization will stay in the room even after the flu is gone. I really hope so. But yeah, I'll see you next month. Stay healthy, everyone. Bye bye.